Hello, welcome to VibeCode Like a Champ. I'm your host, Paulo Pinto, and I'm here always to explain you my journey about using these tools, these new tools, these AI tools, how to code properly. This is my YouTube channel that you can follow and subscribe, please, and it will be very helpful for the algorithm and like my videos. Usually I post my videos on the link on my LinkedIn profile. Here is my LinkedIn profile. Please find me and follow me. It will be very nice to be able to chat with you guys. If you or your company would like to know more about vibe coding and all this process that I'm being doing, please contact me, and I'm sure that I will be able to help you in your development process. Today, this episode is all about. It's all about the integration test that I create, and why did I create it, and what is all about these things. Before it was, I had it inside the test, I had it here a folder called integration test, that it was kind of from the call in my API until the database will call like that. But I don't like this kind of test. I think those tests are a little bit painful. They brings a lot of pain. Then I create here some tests using SpecFlow and Gherkin language. I already talked a little bit in my last video about this, that I create this, and then I will going to make this video. And here I'm going to show example of it that I created to use this Gherkin language and so on. But before we continue, I'm going to pass to my old me that when I was having running the prompts and creating this project, this integration test project, and I'll come back in a second. I just run my prompt to create this integration test project, and to create a feature out of it. And this here was my prompt. Here is all we create already the task for the feature for it, and here will be the feature. And I am very I'm very happy that you'll be able to help me with this. I'll come back in a second. Let's see how this is doing, how it creates the project. Okay, the tasks are done. The refinement of the task is done. Like I told you, I'm trying here to do as much vibe coding as possible, giving the information I prompt, and then I say according with all the process that I have this to create all the documentation, and this is something that we need to work on it. And this is a little bit of the tasks, that documentation. I'm just going to pass by here. I already here have example of tasks, example of given when then tasks that's going to need to be implemented, going to be reused all over the place. And let me see here, this is a total task that is estimated to be done in 41 to 51 hours. It's way more than a week of work. I'm starting now around 2 o'clock on Saturday. I'm just going to start, and let's see how it goes. And in the end, I will come and tell you. Let's see. Start implementing feed. This feed is 0024. Start implementing, and it's starting. I will come back way later when everything is done. I'm going to show you. Maybe in a bit I'm going to be able to show you everything. Bye bye. Okay, I'm back. I'm very happy with the result. I'm just going to show you now all the tests on the application got green. They all run to more or less the 707 tests. Take around 15 seconds to run all the tests. And what I would like to show to you is it's the example of tests that were created here. For example, this is to create an exercise. This is for the integration, the easy one. Let me just try to find an easy, no, not for this one. Infrastructure, no, whatever. Exercise, I was opening the wrong one. The CRUD example, for example, and we could say, oh, I want to have it want to get the exercises. They say in the response I should have a property of items, current page, all these things. And I want to send these to the exercises. I would like to have this kind of response. These tests are very, very complete. And I'm very happy with all of these, using this Gherkin language, given when then. It is I am speechless about all of this. We created a lot of tests. Just going to show another one. For example, this another CRUD, and he connects to the database and use test containers with the Postgres database, and it just spin off and just put it there, the data, and so on. You have it here, all the examples, all the tests, edge cases, and so on. I'm very, very happy. In terms of the task itself, even if it is already night, now it's already midnight here. I started doing this, I think the video I started to do it at 2 o'clock, but what it took way less than that. I spent a lot of time, and not all the time, but I spent a lot of time. It took around 2 hours and 40, but what is not here in this time is, for example, when we have some failing tests or tests that will not be able to migrate, you have to create some infrastructure and so on. That time is not here included, unfortunately. And next time I need to go and make better prompts, say this work that we're doing here, let's put it here. I would say that it took around these 10 hours of work out of it, basically 1 day of work to make this migration, out of around between 40 and 50 hours that we should do. This is what the initial estimation is here, estimate 41 to 51 hours, and it took more or less 2 hours and 40 effectively to do that. With better prompts, this time should be way closer to the real time. Even if it is a full day of work, it's very different than a full week of work. I'm very happy. Now all the tests related to the database go through this infrastructure. I'm very happy with the infrastructure, and this is a huge help for the developers. I already did this kind of migration in 3 companies that I was, and it sometimes even took in more than one week just to spin everything, to make sure that all the bootstrap it's working and so on, and start porting the test takes weeks, if not months. Here it took me 1 day, and I already had around 200 integration tests. It took me 8 hours of work, basically. I'm very happy. Let's continue with the rest of the video. And then I'm back. I hope that you like what you saw, me creating all this migration of all the integration tests. I just want to show you some of here you can see some of the tests are very easy to follow, because this is in natural language. You could be able to see that given I created equipment and with some information, then I'll get all the through API, then I should get some information or not, or that should give an error, not error. That will be, or even if I provided a wrong ID and things like that. That's a lot of tests, and these tests goes through the database, go through all the process, and are very easy. Of course, we have unit tests also for each one of the methods, but most of the time we're going to use more integration tests than unit tests. But what is important here that I would like just to show you is that I created, there is here the migration tag tracker, and here there's the list, there's a document, a report of all the tests that were migrated, and the results, where they was, how it was the priority of migration, how it is the complexity of them. All of this was created by the system. I ask, of course, to be able to keep track of now and everything. And down here, this is the most important thing. We're going to be able to see that for example, for the reference table, all the tests that were migrated, here they are, the core functions, and then there was a bit some cleanups, especially because of the database and so on. And then we tested, each test was tested like this, and how we write all the scenarios. And here we're gonna have all the information that if we want to provide to our boss, all the tests. Here is a very good and comprehensive report. And in the end, the migration summary, here it is. There was a total of 206 tests migrated out of 2018. There was some tests that was not necessary. There was even tests that was repeated. Then that's why we didn't have the same number. But it's basically the 8 tests that we remove it because it was not necessary. Right now the coverage with all these things is around 90%, 89.99%, and everything is done. I really happy with all this thing that was done, and we could create it. This was not a simple task. It took around 8 hours of work, of course, but in the end I think this is just bring the project forward in many ways. I was able also to refactor a few parts of the code just to isolate each one of these reference tabs and so on, because the problem that I was having is that I was, every time that I was adding something, I was having a problem with it. I was having a small problem with it, and the small problem was every time that I was doing any change, I was getting around 500 tests failing, and that is because of the second thing that I would like to talk to you about is about the dead spiral that we have in the project. Let me just add it here. Yeah. I created here a list of things that I would like just you to see it. First of all, this dead spiral, because the Claude AI already knows all of this. But the problem is you will keep forgetting, lying, you will break stuff during implementation. He will tell you that the test, everything is green, and you're going to try the test and there will be some breaking tests. There will be that sometimes it takes good decisions, it helps you, but most of the time it takes bad decisions. You always have to go and check it, everything, and sometimes when your context get too big, you get lost. This is normal, it happens. That's why between tasks and things like that, we always should clean the context. How to avoid all these things? First of all, we should commit every time that we do something that we think that is good. We should go and commit, because we can roll back to that commit. We can just undo all the changes on this commit and so on. This is always good. Do everything more isolated. What I did was creating checkpoints between tasks. So there's this task, for example, let's create a certain API endpoint, and then please after that build without warnings, having run the test, all the tests, and make sure that all the tests are running. Make sure that you do some code review. There's some checkpoints between tasks. It's always very important to create. And you should be able to break down the task as smaller as possible for him not to be creative and not taking too much time or too much space in the context, in the AI context. And this is very important, because if the context starts to get bigger, it's most probable that it's going to fail. You're going to make some mistakes. Then you're going to need to just drop something in the middle. You need to cancel what it's doing, clean up the context, start over, and this sometimes take time. And you just need to be in front of the computer just to see all these things. You cannot just say, "Go do me these things." This is nice to see in this very easy application that these guys do it on the internet. But when we do it, some kind of professional application, that doesn't work the same way, and this is what I found that is important to bring. And another thing is when there is a problem that you find, it's better for ask the AI, in this case Claude, and say, please now document the problem that we found and document the solution. And I have some kind of file called lessons learned from this implementation, and then I will combine in a bigger lessons learned. And sometimes when I start a new task or do a new implementation, I go use this development process and also go to the lessons learned and don't go to the same mistakes. This is quite important even to create the tasks and so on. This is quite important. And in the end is review. This idea of you put some tasks in a GitHub and just head to the GitHub. Okay, go do something. I'm gonna assign this task to my Claude AI, and when I wake up in the morning, everything will be done. I'm very skeptical about this. It doesn't mean that this in the future this will be okay, and this is probably will be perfect with the right context, with the right prompts. But right now, most probably when you get in the morning, you're not going to have everything that you need, and you're not going to have anything that you want. Because as soon that he fails something and he start to make assumptions, shortcuts, like I say here, he goes in the direction that probably we don't want, and he's going to make a lot of duplication of code, and he's not going to use the same infrastructure that you already have in place, and he's going to create a full new infrastructure, and so on, so on, so on. I give the example of I'm saying I have an infrastructure of caching. And when I said to do these last tables, that the last reference table was the workout objectives and the workout categories. I didn't said anything about the caching. I just said that this was a reference table, and he basically ignored that I already have all the code, even if it is on development process, that I have some infrastructure for reference table. Nevertheless, he just start to build it. Cache for it, build it, everything. I had to go back and remove everything and say to him, no, go use what is already created. And this happened. This is something that happened often. Unfortunately, this happen often. I'm going to leave from here. This is my takeover about this death spiral that happened. And sometimes you just think, are you really reading the documentation? Oh my God, why you don't do that? And this happened very often. But when the prompt is correct, when the documents, the requirements are well set, most of the time really takes almost nothing to implement the feature, but we need to reach that point. That's why a good developer will create good prompts, and a bad developer or a beginner developer will not create that good prompts. And that's why probably you're going to need to have some help with senior developers to create those prompts to help and bring AI development to your company. Okay, see you, and I see you in the next video.